You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Kane. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's WWE SmackDown After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's WWE SmackDown After Show.
Well, here we are again. Welcome to SmackDown After Show on AfterBuzz TV. I'm Ric Drasin. I'm your host. I told a little bit about myself last time without going into great details. I've had 40 years of pro wrestling. I have a wrestling school here in the Valley. John Cena started with me when he started his career, believe it or not. And I have my co-host, the beautiful Patricia Summerland.
Hello, everyone.
Yes. That's what I was waiting for.
After all.
And our Superman, Ryan Clum.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going very well.
Awesome.
And then we have a guest today, the New York Knockout, Nikki, who wrestled Indy for probably the past 10 years.
Yep, almost 10 years.
All right.
Yay!
And we're going to have to get into that a little bit because the Indy thing is huge, and that's where everybody starts and ends up with WWE eventually, hopefully, right?
Right, absolutely.
Okay, so last week we talked a little bit about the old school, and we've had some people really like it, and we've had a couple little people who don't like it. And I don't really care if you like it or not, because I'm going to tell you anyway, because this is what it's about. Everything has history. Everything in life has history, and it is what it is today. There are a lot of people interested in this, and I want to say that I was at the Firehouse eating one day after a workout at Gold's Gym. Mason Ryan, Cody Rhodes, and Alex
Riley
came up to me and sat down. They wanted to know everything there was about 70s wrestling. They wanted to hear the history of it. They wanted to hear how we worked, the territories. They were really interested. These guys are WWE superstars, and they're asking me, so why wouldn't the fans? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. As a fan, I've always loved the old school, personally.
Everybody does. There are a few that write in who don't want to hear about it.
Right.
Turn it off.
That's right.
Or
That's
listen.
what I say.
Listen to your parents. And they said that we were grandparents. We are grandparents.
Yes, we
Yes,
are.
we are. And you better listen to your grandparents because they know what's going on. They have a history. They have a lot to talk about. And since we're a grandparent of wrestling, we laid the groundwork back in the 50s and 60s to make wrestling what it was, or you wouldn't have WWE today if we hadn't have done it, right?
Absolutely.
That's where it started.
That's correct.
If you watch some of the old school stuff, like some of the past greats, Dusty Rhodes, Terry Funk, the Briscoes, Vern Gagne, they laid the groundwork for old school style, and that's what drew big, big houses. They didn't have national TV, they had local TV, but their local TV is what drew the audiences in each town as they went through the territory. When I was back in Vern Gagne's AWA wrestling for him, Ric Flair was in the training camp, and he was always watching through the curtains when I was wrestling, always watching to see what was
So
going
when he
on.
had the brown hair?
Yes, and he was chubby.
Yep.
So this is history. This is what people need to know about because it just didn't come out of the sky. WWE just didn't come out of the sky. These guys started somewhere. Most of them all have done indie shows, right, Nikki?
Sure.
That's enough, Nikki.
Sorry. I hated history back in high school, so I'm just kind of like.
Well,
not
I never
making
liked
any
history.
comments right
I never
here.
liked history because it was always about the past. But as you get older, you realize you have to have a past. We've talked about this.
Exactly, to have a present.
Exactly.
Voila.
You bring me a present?
You got one.
Okay, cool.
But you know, like
It's
I
written.
feel like times have changed. I completely agree with you. I feel like times have changed though as far as the internet, social media. People just want things to be bigger and better than what they were. So when you have the generation today, like the whatever audience, 15, 16, 17-year-olds when I was watching it, like even 15 years later, it's totally different. So everybody just kind of their brains are speeding up. They don't want to sit there and watch, two wrestlers tell a story. They want high flying, they want hard hitting, and it has to do a lot with society, I think, in general. Not just wrestling, but it has progressed with society.
I think some of it's the oversaturation of wrestling too. When I was a kid, there was 2 or 3 hours on TV. Now there's, I think, 6 hours on television
Right.
between TNA and the WWE, plus all the internet shows, all the stuff you can go watch.
YouTube.
So I had a couple hours I could watch, and if I wanted more wrestling, I had to go find old WrestleMania tapes. I was watching old stuff from the 60s and the 70s, old NWA, old Starcades, all that stuff. I would get whatever I could because I didn't have 6 hours of wrestling to watch a week. I only
That's a
had a
super
couple
fan right
hours.
That's a super
Yeah.
fan.
Definitely.
He has wrestling G-string.
Are you really?
No, I don't.
He's got wrestling G-string rash.
Ouch.
You're absolutely right, though, because, I mean, I'm not knocking today's wrestling. It is what it is. And who can dispute the houses and the money that it makes?
Absolutely.
It's phenomenal.
And it's great still.
And every guy out there is a tremendous athlete, even more so back in the day, because back in the day, we didn't do all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, first of all, the rings back then weren't wrestling rings. They were boxing rings. And they were like cement. And that's why a lot of guys my age today, over 30, I will say, have knee injuries and back injuries and are crippled. I mean, most of the guys my age now are really either dead or crippled. Right. And it's from wrestling on boxing rings. I mean, taking bumps off onto that stuff is just a killer. But we did it for the show. Now today they have great rings and you can bump anywhere and do all that kind of stuff. So that's why we didn't fly that much back then. But I'd like to go on YouTube and look at some of the old matches. And I tell you and all the other students, go on and look. You'll learn, because it's not how much you do in the ring, it's how you project what you can do at a very little amount, and then make the audience believe it and buy it and sell it. And I was watching Killer Kowalski with Pedro Morales. Now, Killer Kowalski was a huge name. I mean, he had his own school back east. He was a big man, and he had claw. He had all this stuff in the abs. You don't see the claw anymore.
No.
The claw was cool. In fact, I was wrestling when wrestling wasn't cool. So that goes to tell you. All my family and friends says, "What the hell you want to be a wrestler for? That, that's not a job.
Can't make any money.
You can't make any money. I don't. At first, you don't anyway.
Yeah.
But it wasn't cool. But it became cool. I became cool when I did it.
Right.
You mean I got in when it was cool in the 80s? All right.
See, it was
that's
already,
when it really
it was already cool for you.
Yeah,
right?
it was.
And now it's like really cool.
And that's when I was a kid. I started watching like 85, 86. So when it really blew up and became cool. The Rock and Wrestling Connection is when I really got into it.
Well, just to get off wrestling for bodybuilding too, I bodybuilded in the 70s. I trained with Arnold. I had won shows, and I was wrestling at the same time. But bodybuilders were freaks. They'd see us on the street and say, "Oh, those guys, what? They got all that muscle. They got no brains." And then all of a sudden, you look in the gyms, and the gyms are packed, and everybody's a bodybuilder. Not that everybody wants to be a wrestler. And you guys know how many calls I get on a daily basis of guys,
yeah.
it's my dream to be a WWE superstar.
I think every
Yes.
class you've had, when you
Yeah.
come in, you've had at least a call
We
that
have
day.
stories all the time.
And how many people call and they're going to show up and they don't show?
They don't show.
They're
Oh, yeah.
afraid.
It's dedication
Yeah.
right there,
Yeah,
right?
they're afraid to do the work. And,
We've had
and
people that come in, show up, leave, and go, "Oh, I'm going to come back," and you'll never
never
see
come
them
back.
again. Yeah.
So you guys who write in, who are they call them internet haters, because there's always some in every sport.
Oh, yeah.
And you want to find fault with what we're saying or find fault with what we're doing or come over to my house, get in the ring and take a bump.
Right.
And then you tell me what you know. If you know more than I do off my 40 years experience, that I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm old. Come on, I'm not old. I got a brain of a 16-year-old and a sex drive of a 10. So,
I like that.
you know, it's just what it is, and it's a lot of hard work. And I do invite all of you guys to come out there and come by the school and jump in the ring and have some fun. Okay, we'll make it fun for you. Not going to beat you up. But you'll get a taste of what it is to run the ropes, which is hard,
Very hard.
to take a back bump, which is hard, a front flip, which is hard. I mean, all these things are hard to do, and you see them on TV at home, and you're watching and say, "Oh, I can do that." These people say, "Oh, I know all the moves." The guy 12 years old calls me, "I know every move in wrestling. I know everything there is to know. I'm ready." At 12.
I'd say go watch the early seasons of Tough Enough, where they really showed you and show the rash these guys get,
Yeah.
and just beats them up. Especially when you first start, it takes a while to get used to it.
Or
That's
more
right.
than that, like Susie Spirit's elbow that is projected, and it's on the documentary that we have showing now that there's real live injuries. The bones pop out.
Yeah.
It's real. That's all I'm going to say.
Taking an elbow has to be done the right way. If you take the point of the elbow in the throat, which I did in Oregon, I couldn't talk for 2 weeks. So, I mean, this stuff kind of happens. But I was getting back to Killer Kowalski and Pedro Morales. These guys had a match that was beyond anything I've ever seen. And they're selling with their punches and their kicks. And Kowalski he worked Morales' leg the whole match. It was all about the leg, coming back to the leg, and he sold the leg the whole match. That's really basically all they did. And then a couple of comebacks here and there, but it was a good match. It was nothing like I've seen today. You know, they didn't have all that stuff going on, but it was definitely believable.
Yeah.
And you get back and you see the Destroyer.
Oh,
The Destroyer
my
is-
favorite.
he's like 80 years old. He's world known. He has his own TV show in Japan. Never took the mask off in the ring or out of the ring. He goes to conventions at 60 or at 70 or 80 years old, and he still has the mask on.
He's one of my favorites. I can't wait to meet him. In fact, at the CAC's I'm looking forward to it.
The guy was a good wrestler, and he put wrestling on the map, as well as Vern Gagne, AWA, when I was back there. The guy was a good wrestler. You know, you had Lou Thez, who was a collegiate wrestler who became a pro. He was a world champion for years and well respected. So guys my age that were back in the day and that we're talking about now, for you fans, we're respected by the people of WWE as well.
And pretty much all the guys that made the WWF were almost trained by Vern. Hulk Hogan, Andre, all those guys were really became their characters in the AWA. And then Vince took them all and built his empire with basically Vern's roster.
You have to remember that was back before kayfabe was alive, and people could sit through a match and say, wow, that guy's going to break his freaking leg.
Yeah.
Now it's just kind of like if I mean, we're sitting here talking about behind the scenes stuff, you know, so it's almost like if you put a match like that on TV, no, I want to see something that's brutal. I want to see some dude jump off a scaffold, and I want to see, like, that's how the fans think now. Because,
I know that's how they think, but how many times can you see that over and over where it's like a car chase and a car wreck? Okay, I've seen
It's the same thing,
It's the same thing.
And for me, it's still it's suspension of disbelief, just like when you go to a movies. I don't believe there's a guy named Luke Skywalker that can move things with his hand and has a laser sword.
He can.
But when you walk in there, you suspend your disbelief and you believe that for the couple hours.
And that's what you should do
with
with
wrestling.
wrestling.
Thing with wrestling.
And that's what you should do, and that's what they did back in the day. They didn't go home and critique it and say, "Oh, I saw a punch miss. I saw a miss a bump. You know, he screwed up on the high spot." They shouldn't know those things.
No, they shouldn't.
You guys shouldn't know those things. This is secret. This is like magic, you know. And even Mr. Moto back in the day, I mean, he was a great Japanese wrestler. Sneaky. He had the look. He had this. It's like I tell you guys, he'll come in, like Kane and those guys. You got to have that thing going on.
Well, he was in character.
In character. He throws salt in the guy's eye, and as he's getting the eyes, he's going after him. You don't see much of that anymore.
No.
But that stuff sold. And I see things coming back around as we go through SmackDown, and we're going to, you guys, through the matches. There's things that I see coming back that are old school that they're bringing back to WWE.
Yeah, there's a couple guys who are
because
definitely old school.
Everything goes full circle, which means that probably in this next decade I'll have hair again. Maybe not. Okay.
I think a couple of the guys there right now are like CM Punk. I think is very big into the old school.
I think so
and
too.
Daniel Bryan. I think Del Rio.
like them.
Absolutely.
Alberto Del Rio. So there's some guys who are bringing that stuff
Del Rio
back.
is
awesome. Big time old school.
I love that
and
guy.
Dolph Ziggler, just the way he approaches things,
Yes.
he's
so
I like
good.
him as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brought that old school back.
But Del Rio is the guys, he's like the guys I worked with from Mexico back in the 70s, 80s. You understand, you know.
Totally.
That's your answer?
Yes.
Is that your final answer?
No, but wrestlers like Daniel Bryan, for example, I mean, he's wrestled everywhere. So he appreciates every type of wrestling, you know what I mean? It's not just like, what is the WWE criteria for a match? Like, he kind of goes beyond it. And I think a lot of those guys that have been on the indie circuit or have traveled the world already and got to wrestle Japanese style, got to wrestle Mexican style, they can appreciate old school style. They can.
Right.
Yes.
Well, maybe we're starting to see that come back a little bit then, because you had the territories, and then there was this kind of, it's been gone for a little bit, and now the indies are coming in. So there was that kind of time where you just had the guys that were just coming through WWE developmental. They didn't have that, and now you're starting to see those indie guys come into it. Finally back. Like, we kind of have that new territory system where guys can go and learn, and you're seeing that again.
That's a really good point, because you can come out of development and you know the mechanics, like dancing, right? But you don't have the history of working the territory and working the road. Working the road and working the matches is what gives you experience in the ring and makes you what you are. You take all that creative stuff, and the guys you worked with, they talk to you after matches. The old school guys like my age, you do this wrong, you did this, and try this, and that's where you gather all of your skills.
Incorporate everything.
Exactly. It's just not out of a school.
Or just
just like different things.
Adapting to people's styles. So people that are more experienced to people that are less experienced, not just going over a match over and over and over and over and over again and going through the moves and choreographing everything and then putting it on TV,
And they do.
I know. That's why I'm saying.
And that's not what we did. They do. But it was back then, well, for example, we had separate dressing rooms. The heels were over here, the faces were over here.
And that's the way we were as well.
Yeah, we couldn't talk. We didn't know
there was
what we were
no talking.
Referee would say, "What's the finish?" This is the finish. And you tell the guy, "See you in the ring." And then you call it as you go.
Yeah.
And you use your skills. Exactly. That was the way to do it today.
And even in the public.
Yeah.
You had to keep that way
Yeah.
because the fans want to know that you guys you guys really hate each other.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that
So,
too.
and that was the real characterization of it,
Absolutely.
So,
And that's
believable.
that's what I've always liked. It's just even like old movies. Some of the old movies are so much better than the new ones, even though the technology is much better.
Absolutely.
The old black and white stuff. But watching some of these old black and white footages on YouTube with the 50s and 60s. I mean, I started in the 60s, but I go back and watch the 50s because I think there's even stuff back there that I really like. The Ray Stevens and Pat Patterson, who Pat Patterson is the development, but he's with WWE. These guys all started back there. That's why these guys today are working with The Office, and The Office is the old school guys.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And but it's structured with WWE.
And the guys who are training in development too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Of
all
course.
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Dusty Rhodes.
There you
and
go.
those guys down
Harley
there, the
Race
ones-
Camp.
Harley Race Camp, another good one.
Yep.
Really good. These guys are old school. So you fans who want to sit there and say something about me talking old school,
Or me.
I think Offa and
Just let me get you in the ring, brother.
Samoans
Yeah,
have a
exactly.
school
I
up
think,
in, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of places.
But see, and we're going to get into SmackDown in a minute. I just got to get this out of my system. It's driving me nuts.
Get it out.
We
Get
were
it
up.
out.
We couldn't sleep all night.
I'm so pissed off, brother. You have no idea what you're doing to
Oh,
me.
no.
But when you got into the match and you were creative back in old school, you got to do what you wanted to do, and it worked out fine. You had one or two spots and you do this, and then you sold, and people did believe it, and they did. And today with WWE, they have time frame, they have TV, they have commercials. There's a lot of downtime when people are watching and say they're bored because they know they have to set everything up for cameras and all that. It takes a lot of work. And it is structured. It's a script. I mean, it definitely is like making a movie, you know,
Yes.
and you better follow what they do. And Vince Sr., I remember back in New York in Madison Square Garden, he required you to have so many bumps in a match. If you went in and you laid on your ass and just did a hold, he didn't like it. You had to have the bumps.
Well, you
Same thing
also
with
have
us.
Raw and SmackDown on these things. They're different too. I mean, I look at those as kind of when I grew up. I had WWE Super Smart Stars and Wrestling Challenge, which was you just see a couple of the guys in squash matches,
Right.
And those were to get you to buy the pay-per-views and to go to the house shows and buy a ticket. And that's kind of what these SmackDown and stuff. If you want to watch the good matches, you don't go to a Raw. You go to a WWE house show,
Right.
And you're going to watch good matches.
Right.
I mean, that's where the real wrestling's at.
Exactly.
And these are just kind of commercials to get you in to go see that stuff.
Well, it was like from Madison Square Garden, in this corner we have Hulk Hogan at 312 pounds versus Joe Smith.
right,
And here comes Joe.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
actually-
Bang, elbow, finish.
And you'd actually never see Hogan, maybe a promo on that. If you wanted Hogan, you had to pay for him.
Yeah.
You had to go to the pay-per-views, maybe a Saturday night's main event. They'd show him for free once a year.
Yeah.
But, they bring Macho Man, all those guys. Hogan come and do a promo on Challenge, but never wrestle.
One of the best old school guys, superstar Billy Graham. He had the total package.
Oh, yeah.
He had the gift to talk, and he had the body, and he had the psychology.
Your twin, you mean, almost?
Yeah. I
He's
guess
like the
I'll-
original superstar. He's like the first. He was like the prototype of today's WWE superstar, really.
If Billy Graham, Scott Steiner, and Jesse Ventura had a baby, that would be me.
Yes.
I get it all the time.
Had a little Derek.
yeah.
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 Maybe a little Stone Cold in there as well.
And Stone Cold as well. Hi, dads. Okay, so let's get into SmackDown because you guys want to hear this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, and I'll let
The
any one of you
intro.
lead off. Let's talk about the promo with Daniel Bryan that I thought was really good.
Yeah, I think it was.
I
good,
love
too.
that whole. I love that whole angle. I love AJ. I think she's awesome at what she does. Daniel Bryan's awesome on the mic. I love the whole angle, how he's the heel and she's kind of the baby face. That
Definitely
Yes,
baby
I
face,
love
like a
that.
12-year-old. I gotta say, but
It's
as
an
I'm
interesting
watching her,
dynamic.
Yeah.
she's good. She really is a great athlete.
Yeah. Of course, she's indie. Go indie. And so is Daniel Bryan.
Have
but,
you worked with her before, or do you know her
No,
from
I
the
think
Indies?
she's East Coast.
Okay.
I've never gotten a chance to work
Well,
with
you're not East Coast?
Yeah, wait a minute.
I'm
the
East
accent.
Coast, but
You just said awesome?
East Side
Yeah.
Love is
Coffee?
living on the West End. But yeah, I mean, I love the whole angle of how he's a total jerk.
Yeah.
And she just plays off of it, and I think that I'm excited to see what is going to unfold in that whole relationship.
Yeah.
It's cool because
so
you've
dude.
never seen a heel at the side of the ring with his protege as the face. Mm-hmm. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never seen that done.
Well,
Yeah.
they did it a little bit with Macho Man and Elizabeth, but
Well-
this is at it to another level.
Yeah.
Like to a whole nother level.
Well,
That's a good-
because
that's
she
a
can
good point, too.
wrestle too. She does
right,
matches,
absolutely.
too.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Well, Elizabeth walked around embarrassed all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It was always like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Wait,
They
how
did
is it
that
like?
kind of-
How is it
Right.
like? Do that again. I want to see.
Oh, I know.
Oh, you don't want to do that.
Oh no, you did that good.
I did too good. It's my estrogen count's pretty high. But I thought AJ really is adorable. She's a cute little girl.
Yeah.
She can move, and she plays off what they want her to do. A little innocent victim, like I'm just going to do what you
She's
say.
perfect
regardless.
for it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
She's a cute little
good.
naive girl. She's got that little puppy love thing going, and she's so blind. I love that.
And he's great
You see
with
it
her.
all the time. You see, and that's something you see in real life. The jerk with the
Really?
the
So
cute,
do
sweet.
tell, Ryan.
It is what it is.
That's
it is
another
what
show.
it is. But I think wrestling needs to kind of mirror life. It's TV. So and that's what I
SmackDown just took on another meaning.
Yeah.
It's so deep, isn't it?
That's what she said.
Wow.
Hey, it's
Bada
family
bing, bada
show here.
boom.
I just think off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
The one thing I'll mention that promo I thought was really good, but when Sheamus came out, it got flat to me.
Yes.
It did. It got very
It
flat.
got really flat, and he didn't seem like he had anything to say. I don't know if he forgot what he was
came out
supposed to
laughing.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Just he was saying a couple things, and he delivers a line well, so he kind of was able to cover it.
Yeah.
But
It was kind of just like, I'll see you in the ring.
yeah,
kinda
and
deal.
it was like, you want to say soft? I don't want to go there, and I'm like, what? I don't understand where
Yeah.
you going
Yeah, it
with
didn't
that.
make any sense.
It didn't make any sense. So. The tires came out went a little flat for me.
So the
when he
Great
came
White
out, but-
sunk.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I noticed that too.
Yeah, it definitely took some of the steam out, but I mean, he's usually awesome. So
He
you
threw
know.
up in his mouth, you guys. What
Yeah,
was that
that's
about?
true.
I feel like, I'm like,
I felt like
are you kidding me?
I did that at lunch today.
You know what it felt to me, just like, having been in acting and whatever before, like he walked out and he forgot his lines and
Yeah.
he was just went for whatever he could think of at
That's
that time.
exactly what it-
and
I thought he
didn't
just
really.
didn't even go over like didn't
Yeah.
even think about what he was
Yeah.
going to say when he got out
There's
That's
there.
a
your lines on
possibility.
He's like,
everything.
I'll think of it when I get to that.
Yeah.
All right. Are we done with him?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
done. Move on.
Let's talk about R-Truth and Mark Henry.
Oh, yeah.
I like R-Truth.
I do too.
I do too.
A lot.
I like Mark Henry too.
I like them both.
Yeah.
It was
I
a
do
better
too.
match for Mark Henry than last week. Not as good as
I
the
agree.
Raw match. He was amazing against
I
Cena
miss
on Raw,
sexual
but
It was a
Chocolate.
great.
Central
Right?
Chocolate.
Ooh, that's another show.
We talked a little bit about that
Really?
last week. Him and Mae Young's
Yeah.
relationship back in the day.
Yeah.
Are they still together?
I don't think so.
Oh, wow.
I got her.
Well, it
back
was a
now.
great match. I think it was really good.
It was
It
good.
was a good match, and R-Truth, he really puts everything into his wrestling.
Yeah.
He's got good facial expressions.
Yeah.
He's selling.
Yeah.
He's got good
He's
moves.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really funny. I liked I hadn't seen this before when Mark Henry took him outside and smashed his head into the steps and
yeah,
was
on
just
the steps.
pressing
Yes.
his head into the steps.
Yes.
And that looked good.
It
Yeah,
They
it looked really good. I mean, I
really
wouldn't
worked
want
that.
Mark Henry to put all that weight on my head against a steel steps.
You think?
Yeah, I know. I was like, wow, that's. I
If
thought
you-
that was really good. I haven't seen that
If you
before.
had the opportunity, you'd take it.
Well, okay, I would. I'd probably
Let's
mark
do
out.
it now.
I'd mark out the entire time too. Be like, look what Mark Henry's doing. Yeah.
I've been squashed out by Mark Henry, but I thought it was a good match. It had a good psychology.
Yep.
And it went where it had to go, and it was definitely good.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Any more
Progress
on
the
that?
storylines for WrestleMania. So.
Okay, then we have a tribute to Yokozuna. Do you guys remember Yokozuna?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
I worked with him in Lancaster for I think it was PW Pro Wrestling, PWA, I believe it was. This is several years ago, and I had never met him before. And I'm coming down the walkway. He stuck his foot out and tripped me, and then laughed like a madman. And he was one of the nicest
what I
human
hear.
beings I've ever met. He invited me to his home with his family to spend the week in Samoans. If they'd like you, they do that. I was told that was a real honor. And I did a promo on him on TV, and I remember this is before I met him. I said, I got this man, Yokozuna. He's built with two huge butt cheeks. They have to get two airplane seats just to come out here. And I still have that promo on YouTube.
Right.
And then when I met him, I almost felt bad that I did it, because he was such a nice guy. He was a big man, but he had
Huge
good
man.
matches.
And yeah, I mean, moved like nobody of his. I think he was like 500 pounds,
Yeah,
right?
at least
And
500.
he wasn't that
Was he really?
tall, right?
Wow.
5'11", 6 feet.
Yeah,
maybe.
and just moved like a man
Yeah.
that was 200 pounds. And,
Yeah.
it was incredible. It looked like he was just going to skill people
Oh,
when he
man,
would sit on
he
them.
had like 4 butts.
Yeah. And from one of the greatest wrestling families ever, if not the greatest now. I mean,
course.
you could argue that it's the greatest with The Rock. And
They're all great.
and-
Every one of them. It goes
yeah.
way back to Peter Maivia in
Peter
Hawaii,
Maivia, yeah.
who I also worked with back in Hawaii, and then his wife also promoted back there, who I also work for. That family goes back 50 years or more. So it is a wrestling family. And Rikishi, of course, he's been, you weren't there, but he's come to the school. Were
Yeah.
you there?
No, I was not, but I know who he is. I work
Another
with him
nice
a lot.
guy.
And his sons, the Usos, are on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Are on SmackDown
Yeah, it's
now.
almost like the whole family,
Yeah,
isn't
so-
it?
His
They're
son,
all
Pretty much.
good.
he brought his
That
son to
whole
my house
family.
one day, and they pulled up to the
Yeah.
curb, and he got out of the ring, and his son comes in the ring and worked with one of my guys. He said, I just want to see what I can. He was good.
Yeah.
And so my son and I took pictures of Acacia with him, our son, so we have like a father and son
Yeah.
thing going on.
Oh,
But,
nice.
very nice people.
The Samoans are great. We had Mountain Fiji. Everybody remembers Mountain Fiji from Glow. She was also Samoan
Mm-hmm.
as equally, and she was just the best to work with. She was just so
Good
happy.
people.
Yeah.
Oh, the best.
Yeah, and I don't think they've had a bad wrestler out of that family. Like, everyone's awesome that comes out of there. Like,
Right.
every single one of them is
Well, they don't
great.
have any other job.
Yeah, but they all get it. I mean,
There's
sometimes
no
some families. I mean, there's been some hearts that are
Yeah.
better than others, but it seems like every one of that Samoan family has become a star.
Well,
every
they
single one of
yeah.
them.
they have like family barbecues. I was invited to one, and the family barbecue was like 100 people.
Roast the pig. The big
Exactly. That's exactly what they had.
Roast
That's
pig.
exactly, and they had food everywhere, and it's just like you eat all day. That's why they're all so heavy,
Mm-hmm.
and you just want to eat. It's all full of fat and all. You know, having
Except
heart
for The
attacks.
Rock.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Oh.
he knows how. He knows
He's
how
a
to.
Rock.
He knows how to diet.
He's my-
Yeah, he's
Sexy
only
man.
he's only half Samoan.
There you go.
Yeah, he's half Samoan, and Rocky Johnson
okay.
was his
Really
dad.
big
So
half Samoan, I don't
I mean,
care.
if you look at he's got the
I
build
like-
of his father. So
I worked out with Rocky Johnson back in the 70s, and we also did matches at the Olympic. But we worked out at Gold's, and he was just the greatest guy.
yeah,
And he was so light on his feet. He was like a Muhammad Ali in the ring.
he broke a lot of stereotypes, didn't he? Him
Yes.
and Tony Atlas. They
Yeah.
were like the first black tag team
Exactly.
or black wrestlers that weren't kind of a joke, that
Yeah.
were like serious wrestlers, right?
Yeah.
Right. In fact, I have Tony Atlas coming on to Rick's Corner. RicksCorner.com.
Nice.
He's coming
There
out.
you go.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Him and Sid Vicious, which will be
Ooh,
interesting.
Very
Sid
cool.
Vicious is
Yeah.
good.
He's a
Yeah.
vicious guy.
Oh,
Okay,
vicious,
so pretty vicious. So we have the Bella twins. We got Brie versus AJ.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, really.
Okay.
Okay. Let's
Can I
hear it.
start with this
Yeah,
one?
I would love to
Okay.
hear
You can
about
also
it. I
start
would love
and
to hear what
finish.
you have to say.
All right. I just want to say first that I respect everybody who works for the WWE. They're there for a reason. It's working for them, obviously. Okay. I just feel like, why can't they hire indie wrestlers and give them makeovers rather than hiring models and trying to make them wrestle? Because it brings the real girls down a notch, more than a notch. I mean, you could tell AJ was totally carrying this
Yes.
match from the lockup,
yeah.
from the headlock.
You mean like the real women athletes
Well,
that can
yeah,
look
no,
up but not
well,
all
like
fluffy and
The indie women wrestlers that
Yeah.
love it so much, they study it, they watch it, they go do it because they love it, not because they get hired and are told to do it.
exactly.
So I literally I don't like the Bella twins. I don't like them at all. I think they get over because there's two of them.
Overdone.
They have a great entrance.
Because there's two of them.
That's
And-
it.
That is, I mean, their
It's all
entrance is
show.
awesome, and then that's
Well, it's all show.
But
and then that's
obviously
it.
they're
I-
doing something right because they're still on TV. But in my opinion, I think that AJ would have way better matches with somebody like Natty Neidhart or
Beth
Beth
Phoenix.
Phoenix or
Yeah,
one
I
of
agree.
those.
I agree with that, too.
her.
yeah,
Oh,
I 100%
absolutely.
agree.
But it's eye candy.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course. But Glow wasn't really eye candy. I mean, because
No.
we were all in characterization. There was no fluff and muff. I mean, obviously, we're all different sizes, shapes, and,
That's true.
colors.
That's
you know,
true.
and
Yeah.
characterization.
Yeah,
But,
the-
like she said, oh, yeah, it's like TNA, the real TNA. And I
But,
think that the
I mean,
athletic side of it.
what bothers me, like I just last weekend in Chicago, I did Shimmer, which is the best women athletes come to one place and put on wrestling shows. And there were plenty of girls in the locker room that could look like divas, hair and makeup, and they were freaking awesome. Awesome workers. And I feel like a lot of the times they don't let girls do what they do because they can outshine the guys.
Yeah.
Some of them. And
Yeah,
that's
sure,
just
I
my
agree.
opinion on it.
Oh, yeah.
I think the worst thing that may have ever happened to the Divas division is actually Trish Stratus, because she came in as a hired model that couldn't work, couldn't talk, and she turned herself into one of the best women wrestlers
was.
around.
She was a fitness
Yeah,
model.
She was
Trish, yeah. Trish was
phenomenal.
great.
Yeah, but that's an exception.
Exactly, but she was the first one they did that with. So
Yeah.
I think they're like, well, we did it with
Yeah.
Trish, and that's become what they try to do. They're trying to look for that next Trish Stratus.
Yeah.
And she was just a special person
Yeah.
that they got.
She
And
did really good.
I think that's what kind of happened, because since her, you've seen these models coming in that they're trying to train to wrestle, and that's it. They're not bringing girls like
But there's some
back
good
in the day,
ones.
like Ivory and
There's
Molly
some.
Holly and all those.
Eve Torres is real good. I have to
That's
say.
true. She is good.
Kelly's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you
I'm
see,
not a fan of
you,
Kelly.
yeah,
Okay,
you see
well.
these girls on TV though. I mean, like an indie women's wrestling fan, like if you see some of the stuff out there, I mean, I was humbled when I went out there last weekend, and I think I'm pretty good. And I was just like, wow, I can't believe this exists.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like a lot of people don't know that
Absolutely. Even if you watch
just
TNA.
with the men too. With the men
Right.
too. I mean, they don't know there are I mean, not that there are a lot of CM Punks out there
Right.
but you know, Miz came out of the indies, you know, I used to train with him 4 days a week. Like he busted his ass. Like Daniel Bryan, obviously.
Cena too.
Yeah.
But these people, I mean, there's people out there that are like that, and especially with women, I just feel like they totally overlook a lot of them.
They do
Just because they
do.
look good.
Yeah.
Basically, is that what you're
But there's a lot of indie women and there's a lot of indie guys who are
Yeah.
really, really good in the ring. They know how to wrestle, they know how to work, and they never get a break. It's just like actors. We know a lot
absolutely.
of good actors that live in this city and they never get anything. It's the guy who walks in out of the blue. Well, I go on biker stuff, for example. I get biker work in commercials and stuff. I did a lot of it. Now when I go out, they got real bikers that just got out of jail. They ride their bikes out in front. They get hired. They have no acting experience at all. Oh, they got the look.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of times, even when you go and watch plays and you have the TV star that comes in, the worst actor in those is the TV star.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the twins are something to look at, and even in commercials, they always go for twins.
'Cause there's two of them.
Yeah, and then in films, when they use babies, they use twins because they have to break them at
Yep.
certain hours to bring one twin in. You don't even know when they're switching on you. You know, just like remember the show Bewitched?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Well, they had Dick Sargent and Dick York, and they had two dicks on the show.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And they replaced one. They slipped one dick and then removed the other dick.
Oh,
Absolutely.
And Elizabeth
Really?
Montgomery didn't know when they switched dicks on her. True story. That is a true story. Okay, so we reamed them out pretty good.
Until she went like this
Yeah.
with her nose.
And by the way, there was absolutely no reason for Nikki Bella to grab the mic after the match.
No.
I didn't understand the reason for her to do that Team Teddy cheer. It was really bad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That was
it
a
was just,
weak cheer.
I don't know what that was, but
Well, there again, she was probably told to do it.
I'm sure she was.
Yeah.
I'm sure she was.
Well, ragging on her
Yeah.
twin, trying to put her down, you know. But
Yeah,
Oh,
just-
the
it
twins
didn't-
were gonna
it-
fight.
Oh,
Yeah, I
know.
think they're
That's
obviously
probably
leading
set
up.
up.
leading
Yeah.
up to that.
Yeah.
Good, we'll have a train wreck of a match.
Yeah. They'll lock up and take it
Sorry.
home. That's it. Let's lock up, take it home.
Yeah.
Okay, now I want to
Vicky
get
Guerrero.
Vicky Guerrero because I think she's probably one of the most sexy women I've ever seen in my life. I am so turned on by Vicky
She's
Guerrero.
so thick.
She's just got all the curves in the right places.
Oh, boy.
And on a serious note, I really can't stand her. She is so annoying.
I like Hornswoggle.
That's why I like her. I mean, I think she's a
don't
great
really
Hit
character.
her,
understand.
Hornswoggle.
It's
Hit her.
in a good way.
Bite her leg. Do something.
I understand that. I'm sure she's a great person. Her
Oh,
character
yeah.
is annoying, and that's what it's supposed to be.
She's
Yeah.
so good at
yeah.
it.
She's amazing
so
at
good
it.
at
Very
it.
good.
I don't think when she comes that just simply doing that, excuse me, the place goes
Yeah.
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
She's got it down.
The second she does that.
Yeah, she worked herself into a good job.
Very good.
And she works the ropes well on the outside, you know.
She
Around the
does.
outside, around the outside. Oh, yeah, and Hornswoggle, too, was so cute. That was the best part of the match, is watching him chase her.
Yeah, he's funny.
Last
I
night.
He's
love
funny.
midgets. I really do.
Little people.
Midgets.
They're cheap. They're
don't
cheap.
want-
They're cheap to take out to eat.
Minis.
They're cheap to take out to eat because they
Minis.
get the short ribs. But she does her job. You know, that's what it is. Now, Swagger
Swagger and Ryder.
and Ryder.
Yeah.
I thought that they had a good match.
I thought they did.
It was.
I love that
It was
match.
good.
Yeah.
I
It
loved
was
it.
really good.
There's a lot of hold to hold. Old school style.
I still feel
Yeah.
Jack Swagger doesn't connect with the audience. He doesn't look at them a lot. I mean, he did a little bit at the end, but you know,
That's
he's
why he
looking
has Vicky
down.
Guerrero, though.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I feel that and I kind of get into this when we're wrestling too. He's got that amateur background, which I have as well, and you just kind of get into that thing that you've done since you're a kid and just move after move after move,
Yeah.
just get after him, more competitive, and I think he doesn't have that connection. I think that's the one thing he's missing.
I like his look.
I do. I
Yeah.
think,
too.
yeah, he's got a
cool.
great moveset, his look,
funky.
everything.
He's got that Killer Kowalski style. I mean, his body is
He
just
needs
that
a new gimmick though.
old school. Well, a lot of people do.
Well, to me, he looks like Kurt Angle. I mean, he's got the Kurt Angle. I just look at him and see Kurt Angle.
Well,
You know,
maybe the
and-
outfit, but
and-
he's got that body structure. He's just big
Yeah.
and cumbersome, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an old school Killer Kowalski. That's. I mean, he has that gene.
Yeah, absolutely. He
Yeah.
could be very. I think he will be good. He's still young. I mean, he's still new at this. I think it's only a few years he's been doing it. Right. He went
Yeah,
straight
yeah.
to development. I think he's one that just went straight into that development system and up to the WWE. So
Yeah.
he didn't have the indies.
And I like Zack Ryder.
Yeah.
Zach is great.
He is good.
I love his glasses.
Yeah. I love him because he made he's made his success. He was going to get fired. They were going to fire this guy.
Yeah.
And he was like, screw it. I have nothing to lose. So he started his internet show and blew him up, to the point they had to put him on TV because he got so popular. Because he was getting really popular and they were not putting him on TV. And eventually they couldn't deny the fans anymore.
And he has one of those gimmicks that you would think that would annoy you, but you kind of just get to like him.
Yeah.
And you kind of just go with them.
If you watch TNA, they have a very similar character named Robbie E. And I think Zack Ryder does a better job of it. I mean, it's the same character, but, it's two different guys portraying that character, and I enjoy Zack Ryder's portrayal of it much better.
Who's the other guy on TV?
His name's Robbie E. He wrestles on TNA.
I don't know.
Robbie E.
It's their Jersey Shore thing,
It's
the
like a
fist
Jersey
pumping,
Shore.
and,
Yeah.
So
And I,
pretty much the same thing.
I enjoyed
Yeah.
that face wash, by the way. I don't think we should overlook that.
Oh, yes.
That face wash to the corner. That was pretty sick.
That was good.
Yeah, he did that on Monday against Daniel Bryan as well, and I was like, "Ooh, that looked
Brutal.
rough."
Brutal. But I like
Yeah.
that. I
did too.
I like the believability.
Oh yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I thought he hurt him.
It's the cell. Okay.
I have a question. And, I mean, we're going to get into Kane versus Big Show, but I don't understand why years back they took Kane's mask off. They took the mystery away. They did the same thing on WCW to Rey Mysterio, and then he had to get the mask back.
That's
Right.
true.
I mean, they changed his character. We knew him as this big red machine, which was scary, and then they take this. And I mean, he had a great look just as a
At first,
wrestler.
he didn't talk, and then he had to use the cancer kazoo.
Exactly.
And then
all that stuff. And now he can do anything fluently.
And now, he can talk.
Went to charm school.
Yeah,
I mean, I love him. I think he's great.
Yeah.
I met him down at Gold's.
I think it's just character progression. You have to change it
They have
and change
to-
things up
people
because it
get
gets
bored.
boring.
Yeah.
So I mean, everyone wanted to see him without the mask. So it was a big lead up to take that mask
Yeah.
off him. That was a big deal when they demasked Kane.
Well, but by the same token,
the Rey Mysterio thing wasn't as good when they did that. I think.
that was almost disrespectful.
Well, it was WCW too, so they didn't
Yeah.
really respect the business as much sometimes, and it was kind of weird the way they would book things
Yeah.
like that. As soon as he came to WWE, they put the mask right back on him.
Yeah, they had to. I mean, this is the only way to do it. With Kane, though, that big red machine was scary. That was really something. And I mean, he works the same with or without the mask, but I think putting the mask back is much better.
I agree. I like him.
I just don't know why they
Put it back on.
Yeah,
And now he's got the long hair. His hair has instantly grown super long.
it's an improvement. But by the same token, we were talking about the Destroyer. I mean, the man
Oh, yeah, the
wrestled for
same.
50,
Yeah.
60 years, never took his mask off.
No.
You knew that was the Destroyer. Or the Masked Marvel way back when. Or Mil Mascaras, who's the man of 1,000
Mil Mascaras.
faces. Yeah.
Right.
He has no belly button.
And that left that
No, he wears
illusion
his
of,
pants
of what's under there, of what's under the mask.
Exactly.
It's not meant to be.
Plus, you
shown
sell
or no.
merch. You got to sell the merch.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, a lot of Kane masks to sell now. Well, they don't have Rey Mysterio or Sin Cara, so they had to get some masks to sell. So
Yeah. But I mean,
that's probably a big part of it.
you wouldn't see Mil Mascaras without his mask ever. I saw him in World Gym without it because he came and worked out with us. But that was his gimmick, that's just the way it is.
I bet he didn't call himself Mil Mascaras when he was walking around without the mask.
No, it's
either.
Aaron
I
Rodriguez.
just worked with him in Mexico, and
wow.
I've never seen his belly button either. He pulls his tights up. One of my trainers convinced me he had no belly button.
Like
He's actually he's going into the Hall of Fame this year as well.
Interesting.
with
Yeah, he's
Yokozuna
got one of
and-
those bodies that he'll go in the gym and he'll do a little pump up, and then he brings his pants real high and he sucks his waist in the whole time he's wrestling, and he makes it look like he has a tremendous body, but
Yeah.
he's really not. He's
but
just a
we
short
all
little guy.
know.
Yeah.
That's an illusion.
Hey
Right
guys.
Pretty soon the
there.
pants are gonna get up to here.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
No hitting below the belt.
Each year
Hey guys.
it goes up a little.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, sorry to interrupt, but speaking of people you guys have worked with, I have a caller on the line, and Rick knows him well.
I do.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Caller, you're on the line.
I hear a lot of static.
Yeah, we don't hear him.
It is raining in LA.
Is it?
Let me retry.
Uh-oh.
Stay tuned. You guys continue, and I'll get him back on the line.
Okay.
All right.
Well, what about this match? Because I really enjoy. I
I
enjoy
do too.
how Kane can turn himself into a small man when he wrestles somebody big, which means he gets faster. He gets a little more high flying. He can adjust to, because usually he works people that are smaller than him. And I really like the style that he kind of just shifts to when he's wrestling someone like the Big Show.
It was really obvious too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. I was thinking the same thing. I actually had written down that this could have been a match that could have been done by two guys that were 6 foot, 200 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I thought was so cool, that these two big guys did a smaller man's match, and it was really, really interesting to see them work because they're both so good.
Yeah.
You know, the agility of both those guys at almost 7 feet tall is incredible.
Yeah. Kane looks so
That
much
is.
smaller next to Big Show.
Oh, yeah.
Like a little boy.
And then the interruption with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, which I think, a nice DDT, by the way.
Yeah.
Amazing DDT.
That kind of ruined
like
the
that
match
one.
for me, though. It was such a good match. It was
I
such a
know.
good match. And
That's why I
then
didn't get
the
it,
run, and
but-
I was like, no.
Not right
doing
now.
that a
Not right
lot.
now.
No,
Not right now.
don't.
They're doing
It's
that
too
a lot
good.
lately.
It's very
if
much
you've noticed.
very much similar to when you're having
Yeah.
sex with your girlfriend in high school and your mom comes in the back door. Your mom does a run in.
Wow.
Well, you know, these two guys wrestled on Raw as well, and it wasn't that. It was like this quick match and had a weird ending. So, like, then you had this awesome match on SmackDown, which I was like, awesome. We're making up for the not so great match with them. And it was so good. And then to me, it was just the run in. I was like,
Right,
no.
the sneak attack.
Yeah.
They're doing that a lot there on SmackDown now.
It was a great
So,
match, though. I mean,
It
Kane was
was
jumping all
really
over the
good.
place.
Yeah.
I mean, he really worked. I've never seen him work that hard.
Yeah.
He really put it out there.
Yeah. That might have been that kind of stole the show. I think that match. The main event was good too, but that match might have stole the show.
I think it might have as well.
All right, guys. I believe we have our caller back on the line.
Okay.
All right.
Here we are. Waiting. Ooh.
Where's the AfterBuzz? Okay.
He is not there. All right.
Oh, bad connection.
Poor guy.
I think he's playing a joke on you, Rick.
Oh no.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it's one of those people that wants to say something but just can't.
I get phone calls like that all the time. I go, hello, and they go, hello, hello, and they go, I said yes, and they go, and then they hang up.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
you did that to people.
I do. That's why I'm getting
We
it
don't
back
want
here.
any.
All right, let's go
right.
on to
Funkasaurus.
yes.
I love him.
The jiggly.
I have stories about this guy, but I'll let you start.
You know, it was the typical Brodus Funkasaurus match. You know, go in, beat up his opponent quick, and get to the dancing. But you know, it's fun. That's what it's there for. It's a great live thing. I gotta imagine being in that audience.
Yeah.
It's really great.
The audience goes crazy.
Well, I think
for
they
him.
love the two girls. Whatever.
Well,
the
yeah,
names
yeah,
are.
but it's like what The Godfather meets Rikishi.
Yeah, it does remind me of The Godfather.
Yeah.
With
Does
his
it?
hose,
Yep,
remember
absolutely. The hoe train.
that?
Get on the hoe train.
Well, Brodus used to come to Gold's Gym in North Hollywood. I approached him one day before I knew who he was. I said, "You ever thought about getting into pro wrestling?" And he says, "I'm actually training for it now." He's very soft-spoken. And I told him who I was. He said, "Oh, I remember you." He says, "I used to watch you on TV." I said, "Don't say that. It makes me feel old." I said, "But you can come over to my house and train in my yard." He said, "I would love to." He was working for Snoop Dogg as a bodyguard.
Right.
So he made about 12 appointments to come over. And then I started thinking, maybe I don't want him over. He might break my ring because he's a big man.
Yeah.
Huge man.
He doesn't look that big on
yeah.
TV. In person, he's big. He's got a head. I don't think I could fit it in my Lincoln Town car. That's how big it is. But the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And so he finally called me and he said, "Can I come over now?" And I said, "Yeah." And then he never showed up. And then, "Can I come over now?" And yeah. And they never showed up. I got called in. I can't make it. So it was always I can't make it type of
Right.
thing. And then he went out for WWE, and I guess they released him a while back, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have that character yet. That's
No, he
why.
didn't have the character. But they said he just didn't get the ring psychology.
Yeah.
He just wasn't understanding what the show was about.
Right.
Then they brought him back, and I understand. I was told that his daughter
That's
gave him
why
this
he gets
character.
quick matches, I guess.
Yeah, quick
yeah.
matches,
Yeah.
exactly.
His matches.
His
are
daughter
good.
came up with this character for him, and he presented it, and they loved it.
Oh, okay.
It is. It's cool. It's
It's
gimmicky.
cool.
Yeah.
I can't.
The
I
girls
don't
are
like
good.
watching the thighs jiggle. Like it,
No,
I
that's
see,
why I
I
call
see
him
that
jiggle.
a little
I agree.
bit, but I
Jiggle,
do
jiggle.
like the whole.
Yeah.
The whole.
He needs his ring gear,
production of
some
it. Yeah.
Right.
legs down on his ring gear a
You
little
don't like
bit.
that?
No, I don't like that.
Well, who said fat man can dance? I'll stand up for
A lot of fat men can dance really well.
But it's
down.
part of it. It's
They
part
get
of
down.
the.
Hey,
Yeah,
Rikishi
gimmick.
was a hell of a dancer
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
back in the day.
He
I
was
mean,
really-
that was his whole gimmick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, he does his stuff, and he looks like he's having a great time.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's
Yeah.
loving it. Are you
And the
kidding?
audience has a lot of fun,
yeah.
and that's the important thing. The audience they go crazy and they have the best time when he comes out.
Yeah.
And Snoop
That's what
Dogg's
he's there
out there
for.
going, "Yeah, do it, yeah."
Of course.
Where's the go? That's what he's doing.
Yeah,
Of course.
he's not the guy who's out there to do the 5-star incredible matches. He's the guy
No.
that's going
No.
to be out there to pump up the audience.
Exactly.
So I think he's going to be.
He's
That's what he's going to be.
He's a gimmick.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Entertainment in between.
Nope.
He's laughing all the way to the
Hell
bank right
in
now,
a
I'm sure.
Cell match.
The guy he was working with, Slaughter, is that his name?
Slater.
Slater.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the ginger thing that I don't like. I don't know. I thought it did its job. The match, like,
Yeah.
he did his job, but I mean,
That's what it looked
he's
like.
like meh to me.
He's good. It's once again, I think that character
Yeah, I
connection with
think-
the audience
yeah.
thing. I think that's the same thing with Heath Slater. He's a good worker.
Is he like
looks
a
good.
rock star? Or
Yeah,
something,
they call him
or-
like the Southern rock star. I forget
Yeah.
what his name is, but it's
One
kind
man,
of the South
yeah.
rock thing. The one man rock.
One man
Something.
rock
show.
rock,
Yeah,
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Who did he used to be with?
He was on
Heath Slater?
NXT, right?
Yeah, he was on NXT. I think
NXT, that's right.
I think I think he was in the Indies. I think he was a indie guy and then came up or got signed. So
They're not really doing anything with him.
no, he was part of the Nexus angle and then the Core, and so he was always in that group with those guys. And once that all kind of broke up, he's just kind of been off and
He
lost.
pretty much
and-
needs to find his gimmick
Yeah.
before they.
Like him and Justin
Yeah.
Gabriel and some of those Nexus guys are kind of off right
Yeah.
now in no man's land, kind of figuring out who they are. I think.
Probably wondering if they're ever going to make any money at it again.
Yeah.
How that goes. I mean, so many.
Sometimes you got to make it do something yourself. Look at Zack Ryder. He took it on himself to get himself over.
That's right.
And
yeah, and it works.
Ted DiBiase is doing the same thing with his DiBiase posse. He goes out now before SmackDowns and has a tailgate party with all the fans.
Yeah, that's right.
And he calls it the DiBiase posse. So there are guys that are doing stuff to try to get themselves over, and it's if it's working, it's great when it does.
Yeah.
Well, the indie market overall is much bigger than WWE, and I've tried to sell a reality show based on that. I wanted to do a traveling reality show to all the little indie matches around the United States,
Right.
and talk to the promoters, talk to the wrestlers, and show how big this underground kind of like a black market circuit is.
What is that? Is that your stomach, Rick? No.
That's my elbow. Yeah,
I hope
my stomach does do that because the average American doesn't know that there is indie wrestling. They don't know.
No.
They think wrestling, Vince McMahon, WWE, and that's a group of people. But there's a much larger group that never make it that far,
Right.
and they're everywhere, in every city, in every country. And I have people write to me, say they want to get into wrestling, and how do I do it? And there's no schools by me. I said, find an indie show near you. Go there, see where those guys work out, and go work out with them.
Yeah.
And how do I find an indie show? I said, internet, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's
I mean, I agree with you, but there is a lot of garbage in the indies.
there's
a lot of garbage.
Yeah, but
So you have to. I mean, but there are so many amazing wrestlers that like you said, that people have never seen before. So,
Right.
but you just kind of have to weed out the crap to get to the good stuff.
there's
but you
crap.
need to start somewhere, so you have to have
Yeah,
the crap.
yeah.
I mean,
but I'm just
Right.
saying, like,
if there isn't the crap, there's no places
Don't
for
go to
young
an-
guys like me to go and start.
don't go to like little indie show and see backyarders and be
No.
like, oh, this
Oh,
is the
yeah.
indie scene. No, it gets
No, no,
better
no,
than
no,
that.
yeah.
you know?
Backyard brawls
Backyard
or
is
anything.
is
No.
not. That's not wrestling.
But
That's
they should
guys
go around
copying
and
what they
pick
saw on
out the
TV.
real good ones from these shows. Why didn't someone you do that?
Well, that's my point,
They
Patricia.
are.
That was my point.
Yeah. I
If
mean,
I had a
seriously.
reality show and I went around with you or
Right.
Midget or somebody, because you have to have oppositions.
The
you
mini
have-
me? Can we bring him?
Well, you have to have little
Put him on
Midget
my
would be
shoulder.
great.
Well, for
Yeah.
example, American Pickers. Two guys travel the country and they buy antiques.
Yeah, go
And they
figure
don't
that
always
show.
agree, and they do and they don't.
Yeah.
But you need two people like that.
Yes.
And I was going to have myself and somebody else who we go around the indie shows and we pick one or two out of one of the best indie shows, put them aside.
Exactly.
And after 12 episodes, we take all that we've gathered up and we have one big indie show with them, the best of the best. And you run it like a WWE event with all the lights and the entry and all that. And these are guys that are never seen. You put it on national TV as a reality series. And I think it would work. And I pitched a lot of producers and production companies. Yeah, it's a good idea, but wrestling is Vince McMahon. They don't get that there's other stuff.
Yeah, just my experience in reality TV and working, because obviously all my companies, being a big wrestling fan, I would always pitch wrestling shows, and
Yeah.
it's just that people don't buy wrestling shows. That's
No.
what they tell you when you go to any development. They don't buy wrestling shows,
No.
and
Yet it's the largest thing watched on TV.
yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course, then they go buy a wrestling show. You're like, what about that one? And they're like, well, that one wasn't good. It's like, well, we could have made the good one, and it started the trend.
I'll talk about this when we're done with SmackDown. I had a family thing. I'll tell you about this in a minute. Okay.
Yeah, let's go to the Hell in the Cell match. They were doing their, the cage match, the Undertaker, the Triple H, Shawn Michaels, everything. They're building that up.
was that the
It's coming
Raw
up.
Rebound?
Yeah.
Oh, Raw Rebound. Yeah, that's right.
I
Okay.
like that. The build up of that and bringing back the cage match, a little bit like MMA,
Yeah.
WrestleMania.
Cage
I think-
wrestling.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll probably be a good match. I mean, I'm
That
sure
will
it
be
will
a
be.
good match.
Yeah.
They're both great, and they both know how to work it. HBK in there, there's going to be partial. Is it going to be partial to Triple H? Because they're like buddies,
That's the big question.
Yeah,
that's the big question, which is interesting too, because I think if there's ever going to be, this would be the biggest threat to the Undertaker actually losing his streak, because it's the third time he's wrestling Triple H at WrestleMania now, second time in a row. We had HBK who lost to him 2 times in a row, and then being a buddy. And who does HBK want his buddy to actually beat Undertaker and do what he couldn't? So there's a lot of interesting ways that's going to be. And I like the way Undertaker's saying this must be pure. You can't cheat this.
Yeah.
If I'm going to lose, it's got to be legit.
Yeah.
And there's that question whether it will be or not.
Yeah,
so
of course.
It's very interesting. They're doing it well coming in.
This is why we call Ryan our super fan.
Yeah, he's on it.
So if I have any questions,
if he was this good in the stock market, we all be rich. But you're absolutely right about it. That's definitely how it's going to work.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a good match.
Yeah, it'll be a very good match.
I like the build-up. I think it's pretty cool.
With those 3 at WrestleMania, even though Undertaker hasn't wrestled a match since WrestleMania and Triple H has had 1 or 2 in the last year, those guys are going to bring it, and they're going to throw everything there is out there.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt that's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
those guys aren't going to be walking the next day.
And Maria's going to be there too.
Maria is going to be there.
That's going to make it even more awesome.
I think it's actually an interesting Divas match, because it's been usually this celebrity is thrown in like Snooki last year, last second. This has been a storyline that's progressed between her and Beth over a couple of years, and it's interesting.
Yeah, you can't even compare the two. Maria was, she came over yesterday and she worked with us in the ring.
Yeah.
And she's got a couple of cracked ribs, but she's a trooper. She hung in there and she does what she has to do.
She's tough.
Yeah.
She is tough.
And she's good.
Yep.
Like, she could be, in my opinion, she could be a real wrestler if she wanted to be.
Yeah.
She gets it.
Want to know my input on that? And
What's
here's
that?
why Trish Stratus
Yeah.
also made it, because they're both Greek.
There you go.
Like me.
All right.
I'm Greek.
It's those damn Greek
go.
I didn't
women.
make it.
The tough Greeks.
It might
I'd like
be.
to break a lot of plates. Is that it?
Yeah, she's definitely tough. And
No
I mean,
Greeks
I said to her, when she came over, I said, "Are you crazy?" She goes, "Yeah."
And she's great in the biz.
Yeah,
She'll be.
she's so cool. So
Yeah,
she's the
very
nicest lady. And I said, 6 hours of dancing today. She goes, yeah. I said, you're gonna do another hour or 2 in the ring. I got to do it. WrestleMania.
Good for her.
Yeah, she's tough.
Just like a champ.
Would you like a protein bar? Yep. So we had a good time, and she did put her time in, and Kevin's a big help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
He's a big help.
very much so.
He likes to jump around and fall down the ring a lot.
Yeah, he was out there
that's cool.
jumping and bumping and rolling around with me, and then he's like, oh,
Yeah.
he's great.
So they support
Okay,
each other.
the Great
That's
Khali
good.
versus Dolph Ziggler.
A lot of clotheslines again, boy.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't he have
That's
some
insane.
sort of like genetic defect, like gigantism or
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
where it
Probably, yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah.
He's not that agile, so he's got to
No.
do moves like that. I wouldn't want to be chopped like that. That took my breath away when the first chop when he chopped him. I guess that's it. That's his thing,
Yeah.
He can't do much.
Can't do much.
But
It's just
And
a
then
he
look.
doesn't
Dolph
need
it was the
Ziggler
same as
thing,
last
thought
week.
he won. What was that about? And then he went back in, and then it turns out Khali won, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, the end was kind of a little bit weird.
Well,
Yeah.
It was just progressing the storyline of Johnny and Teddy Long trying to screw each other over.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
So
pretty
that's
much
really-
it. Yeah.
Pretty much what it was. But yeah, the match was kind of the same last week. It was Khali being put in with a pretty good worker.
Same thing.
Very good guy. Dolph Ziggler's, I think he's becoming very quickly one of my favorite wrestlers.
Yeah.
I think he's really good.
He is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Really, really good. And, he carried the match and it was good.
He did carry it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
have to
he
with
did.
someone
You
like
have
that.
to that's what you got to do with
Yeah.
Khali. You need to put him with a good wrestler and then he'll
chop you.
he'll
Yeah.
chop you and that good wrestler will work around him and
Yeah.
bring out an entertaining match. And Khali is just there because he looks impressive and
Yeah.
he looks great.
Yeah.
He's got the look. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's got a great look.
Do a lot of things
Oh,
with that
always
guy.
love him. He's great.
Okay, CM Punk, Sheamus versus The Miz and Daniel Bryan.
It was good. I loved the dynamic between Miz and Daniel Bryan because
Yes.
Miz was Daniel Bryan's NXT coach.
Right.
And used to give Daniel Bryan all this crap.
Remember
and
that.
here's this little indie thing. And now the roles are reversed. And Miz was the big star last year, and now he doesn't have the match at WrestleMania. And Daniel Bryan's the champ. And you walk into the match, Miz was kind of saying, I need this to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan just kind of blowing him off. So I love how the characters play with each other.
Yeah,
on
very,
that.
very good.
It was very good.
Yeah.
What stuck out to me was the hot tag when he literally went to tag in and he
See,
wasn't
when-
there. When Miz
Oh, okay,
went to
yeah.
tag in and Daniel Bryan wasn't
Right,
there.
right.
I really like that because I've never seen anything like that before. Usually it's like heel face,
Right.
face tags in or heel tags in, then face tags in, and
Right.
then blah 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 blah. But he was just he wasn't there, so he had to go into it, and I really like that.
And CM Punk was great, by the way. I love that. And what
He's
was
always great.
What was the deal with Daniel Bryan running though? Well, he was running out like a little baby, sort of like AJ would do.
Well, he was
that reverse effect.
trying to get.
Like he was a coward because Sheamus
Was it Sheamus?
Yeah,
back
Sheamus
in
was coming
so
at
he
him, and
put
he
the
runs.
boots to him.
Yeah, I was like, really?
Well, it was
You know,
part
for a
of his
champion.
tactic to
Sorry,
get him out.
What part are you talking about?
Daniel Bryan comes out.
When he was
Sheamus
running.
chases him.
Oh, okay.
Comes
yeah,
back in. Miz cuts him off.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
The cut off there.
I expect
that
him to
classic.
fight back a
Yeah, it
little
was
bit,
cool.
I guess. You know,
It
get
was
back in the ring
It
a
was
little
all
bit.
part of
and
something
wrestle.
else, though.
Yeah, I enjoyed
Well,
it.
it's a build up again to something. But
Exactly. Yeah.
And then I love this match because like I don't know Sheamus's history, but like 3 out of 4 of these
He's
guys
strong.
are veterans. You know, they might have
Sheamus
just
is a big
come up.
boy.
Like Miz has been around, but I know like people used to say like, oh, Miz is only on the WWE because he did the Real World, and it's like no way. Like this kid like trained like the rest of us. He had to.
He's on the Indies for like 5 years,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, like he had to drive just like we did and get paid crap, and and then obviously everyone knows Daniel Bryan and CM Punk too, and they were all like, so I was just really happy watching this match.
It was a really good
kind of
match.
like, wow, these are real workers.
Yeah,
And-
all 4 of the guys I think are really good workers.
and-
Very
oh
good.
yeah.
All
I
four.
just
mean,
I don't know.
Sheamus is, he's not.
And
as
I
much.
think Sheamus is just his presence alone is just phenomenal.
I think he
like-
did some
Well,
stuff
he's a
in
little
Europe.
blind.
and
He had
Indies, so-
times, the white.
yeah, but that's
Sorry,
what I
Sheamus,
mean. Like
but
he's
yeah.
different. You don't have other albinos in wrestling.
Totally unique.
That's right. Is that what he is?
No.
No, he's just Irish.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just real white. But he's huge. He's
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah, like
So much
his
power.
presence
Yeah.
alone. But I just
Yeah.
really enjoyed this match because I don't know. It was
a
just
great
very-
match.
It was a
really
good match.
I love that move Sheamus does where he takes a guy in the ropes and he just smashes their chest 10 times.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
yeah.
It looks cool when he does that.
It does.
It looks brutal, and I've never seen anyone else really
And we
do
always
that.
tell people don't over punch and don't over kick, but then sometimes it works.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it
but
does
that's because that's that one moment where
One
it's
moment.
going to be.
Well, and they
10
sell it
minutes.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
It's the moment. It's effective.
what
You-
they're doing.
You have to use it for that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Anything else?
I guess just a couple matches before we had the vignette for Lord Tensei, or Matt Bloom, aka A-Train, coming back to the WWE, which I think is going to be interesting. Supposedly he's going to come back with John Laurinaitis or something like that.
Oh, that should be
and
interesting.
Yeah, so he's been a giant star in Japan. He left
Yeah.
WWE and he went to Japan, and he's been a huge star out there and is now coming back. So I'm excited to see him coming back to WWE, see what he can do.
Yeah. Should be
'Cause
good.
He's always really good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Should be good.
And I like the slap that Teddy gave John Laurinaitis. The build up for them. Yeah, what's that going to be? They're both going to get back in the ring? Go for it?
I'm
you
rooting
think?
for
That'd be
Team
kinda
Johnny.
I
I
hope
think
not.
so.
I don't like Johnny.
I like Johnny.
You don't like him?
Which side are you on? The Teddy side? Yeah.
I'm Team
Yeah.
Teddy.
All right.
There's a midget on Team Teddy. I have to be Team Teddy.
Oh, with
Yeah.
Hornswoggle?
Hornswoggle.
He's the mascot of
I'm
Team
learning
Teddy.
to like him. I like
I said this
him.
once before,
Really
but
How
good.
could you not?
Right?
He can talk
He's
now
just
because
adorable.
he asked
So
Santa Claus to
cute.
talk for Christmas, and that's now why he can talk now.
Aw.
He won a battle royal, and he won the right
Awesome.
to ask Santa for something. He gets.
I have that same team on this hand, and there's Hornswoggle right there. Well, I think we'll break for commercial and then come back and do a prediction, and then talk about some of our stuff, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, what happened to that club?
AfterBuzz TV. Hi, I was once like you, a lazy, angry loner whose only joy was watching TV and surfing the net. And like you, after I'd see one of my favorite TV shows, I'd be so excited and have so many questions that I'd actually have to talk to my douchebag coworkers about it at the water cooler. Then I discovered AfterBuzzTV.com. AfterBuzz TV produces after-show webcasts and podcasts for TV series of all kinds, like post-game wrap-up shows for all your favorite TV shows. AfterBuzz TV hosts are industry insiders who break down episodes of shows, take calls from fans, and interview cast and crew from each series, with over 60 different after shows, from Boardwalk Empire to American Idol to Vampire Diaries to Real Housewives, and more. Now, after a night of TV, I can ignore my stupid coworkers, who I hate, and go straight to my desk and watch or listen to all my favorite AfterBuzz TV after shows, and have all the TV fan interaction I need. Thank you, AfterBuzz TV.
AfterBuzz TV. What do you want to buzz about?
Patricia,
Yes,
you recognize this lady?
I do. Hey.
And who is that?
Is that me? Is that Sunny? Watch Sunny shine, everybody.
Tell us about Sunny real quick.
That's Sunny the California Girl. That was me in 1988. 4 years of television and pro wrestling, as we talk about old school. I'm doing the CACs, Cauliflower Alley. I'll be up there signing autographs, so everybody come up there and see me. I'll be throwing away some Frisbees, actually throwing them at you. And what else? What else do we have going on? We have the Glow movie coming up, and hopefully that comes in soon.
And Nikki, what's in your future plans for wrestling?
I can't even. Such a long list. Just go to ny-ko.com. That's ny-ko.com. I have all my upcoming shows. I'd love to plug Lucha Vavoom because it's my favorite company to work for. They're having a Cinco de Mayo show May 4th and May 5th at the Mayan in Los Angeles. And there's also a show in Chicago on May 5th. And I have Adrenaline Unleashed coming up this weekend in Las Vegas at Desert Breeze Park. It's called Extreme Thing. It's a big festival. So if you're in Vegas, the Vegas area, come down and just check out my website for upcoming shows.
Great. Ryan?
I have my first match coming up, actually, for Dungeon Championship Wrestling.
Right.
3 weeks from today. On April 15th.
In Monrovia.
So, in Monrovia, California.
We'll be there to support
So,
you.
Yeah,
thank you.
definitely.
That'd be great.
Looking very forward to
I'm
it.
excited about that
Yes, high five 14-year-old me. So,
Well, I'd like to promote,
finally getting to do it.
I'd like to promote my book. It's the time of my life, based on my life story of pro wrestling, bodybuilding, art, music, you name it. I've done it. All the 70s era of bodybuilding, the characters that I ran into. You can find my book on ricdrasin.com. I also have other books. One is how to promote wrestling in the indie market in case you want to run shows and make some money. The other is how to open or run or find a pro wrestling school and what all kinds of things you should look for into a wrestling school. My Rick's Corner, I've got 3 million viewers now. We talk about old school wrestling, bodybuilding, diet, nutrition, everything it takes to get in shape, especially if you want to be a wrestler.
Absolutely. I watch those all the time. Yeah. I go on and watch your stuff. It's really good.
It's very good. rickscorner.com or YouTube/Ric Drasin. So I would like you guys to just make note of that because you never know. You might want to get one of these books. It's very cheap and you'll learn a lot from the Rick.
It's very cheap.
How cheap is it, Rick?
It's cheaper than buying lunch.
It's cheap.
It's cheaper than buying lunch. So that's what I'm doing. And of course, there's show on top of it. And I'm having a great time here with all of you guys talking wrestling because I've been talking wrestling my whole life to the point of my family won't talk to me anymore. They want to hear about something else. But we're doing good.
My parents know the same feeling.
Yes. It gets old after a while.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I have a prediction.
Yes.
I have a prediction for the Team Johnny, Team Teddy on who the final, because they each have a member left.
Okay.
That they have to. So I believe we're going to see Alberto Del Rio come back for Team Johnny. And my guess would be Rey Mysterio maybe popping up for
That'd be awesome.
Team,
That would be awesome.
Teddy. Teddy needs a real star in there.
Yeah.
I think Team Johnny's team's a little bit stacked compared to his right now. So I think Rey Mysterio is the only person that really makes sense to me that might come back as long as he's ready.
Yeah.
It's a very good prediction.
Yeah.
I'll go with that. I like that a lot. You agree?
I agree. Oh, that'd be very
How about
cool.
you? You never
I'd like
agree
to
with
see
anything.
Rey Mysterio
No, I
come
don't
back.
agree with it now. Come on, you know my
The New York is always.
you know my
come on.
lucha love. Of course, I want him to come back.
Well, okay. I also predict that we'll be here again next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I look forward to
WrestleMania
seeing
next
everybody.
week from today.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah,
we're
so
doing
speaking
Friday
of
instead.
which,
Yeah.
we'll
Yes,
we're gonna figure out
exactly.
something for those of you fans listening. You know, obviously we're not gonna cut into WrestleMania, but you know, stay tuned on follow us on Twitter at AfterBuzz TV. We'll post it there. We'll have it on the website AfterBuzzTV.com. And you know, on behalf of these guys, rate and comment them on iTunes. You know, these guys do it. You know, they volunteer their time, and we give all this content away for free. You know, so the least you could do is spend the 15 seconds it takes and rating and commenting them on iTunes. Anything else, guys?
I think we're good.
All right.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Buzz you later.
See you later.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.